Hi guys and welcome back. My name is Antonio Seri, from crrntn.com. Continuing the series Hollywood movie title. Today we realize the Three Musketeers flying logo style animation. We will make the whole animation on After Effects, starting from a base created previously in Photoshop. This animation is very simple. The background, text and graphic element will be completed with two particle systems, the first on the sword to create the effect of the sparks, the second dust of fire in the background. Finally we will complete the entire sequence, adding custom lens flares. Open the file in Photoshop and analyze in detail all levels. To create this file using the last frame of the original video, with a simple procedure of contour cut and photo retouch, I got all the elements that are used for this animation. As a base I used the one that has already been applied in the tutorial. Jonah Hex, as you can see, is very similar. I applied on it a layer style, color, to get the shade of color. The value RGB is 80, 56, 0. In color mode. The base frame of the logo has been extrapolated from the original video. You can use other kinds of frames, it is important that they have a burrow gold style. In this case I applied the shadow layer style, with black color, and a color effect as the background layer. As we can see, I added one old gun much like the original. And I added a layer to simulate a shadow created by the logo on the trigger. Obviously with the same principle, I obtained the sword, and I applied the same layer style, already used for the frame logo and the gun. For the logo Musketeers was applied a layer style to create a chrome effect. I show you the various parameters that I set. Outer glow, inner glow, the parameters for the bevel, a slight texture to make the surface rough, obviously, a gradient in grayscale for simulate the color chrome plated, and finally, a stroke, with a gradient gray, in reverse then to the front surface. To simulate three-dimensional depth, I duplicated other two layers I have placed below, after in both, are scaled up gradually, only on the horizontal axis. With this simple logo, it is not necessary to use a 3D software. You can get the 3D text on After Effects, using scripts or other techniques. The same procedure, but with only one duplicate layer, was applied on the text, 3. The font used in this title is a regular Times New Roman, made in faux bold mode, through this button in the panel character text. Watching the original video, the only modified letter is the letter R, which has the final part, more subtle, but we do not convert the font in image, so that you can change the logo and the slogan, with few steps. The result is very cool. Now with all these elements, we proceed our work on After Effects. Our project is composed of about 50 frames. As I said, this animation is very simple. The base imported from Photoshop preserves all layer styles set. I show you how to make dynamic sequence with the right steps. In the background I added interpolations on shadows, highlights, and levels. The shadows highlights with a value of 55 between frame 0 and 11 to create the faded dust simulation on the surface. These are the parameters of shadow/highlight. The value 55 is controlled by check, blend with original. While levels effect between frames 11 and 15 makes the darker base. You can change the values to your liking. To make the background more interesting, I added the layer dust. Instance Illuma mode. With inside the invert effect. This is the original image. I enlarged and positioned it to achieve this impact. But what creates the particular result is an interpolation on scale from frame 15 to 50. With all the graphic elements, it seems that the background moves, but it's an optical illusion. Wow! The base with the Baroque frame was made more dark, with exposure value, -0.6 and 0.72. This pre-compose is structured so that they can be animated as a unique object. But inside they are inserted, others pre-compose, for to animate at the same time the guns. Therefore inside we have the pre-compose gun, where we have the penultimate pre-compose X gun. Here, was made an animation of rotation of the gun of 26 degrees and 2.5 degrees between frame 0 and 11. You can also use a 3D video sequence with gun, if you have. So, on the pre-composed gun, I applied the effect, mirror. With an angle of 180 degrees to place up the gun reflected. Obviously, we must consider as a pivot the center of the scene. In this way, applying changes on the basic pre-comp, the results is updated automatically. This is the result with the exposure. Very dark Gothic. When I said that you can create a global animation, I meant this. During the sword animation from the top, all the base block in the sword makes a quick sequence of bounce down between frames 11 and 12, then return to its original position in the frame 15. After, together complete the sequence with an interpolation, on scale from 100 to 95. To make more dynamic this step, I added a particle world effect. To create the sparks collision of the sword, with the Baroque logo base. It is a very simple basic particle system. The sequence of frames for generate sparks, it is very rapid, because the arrival of the sword is very fast. Later I will show you the settings schemes. The text layer is imported from Photoshop, have been grouped into two pre-compose, and were activated as 3D layers. There are two different animations on a long Y and Z position. The text the 3 starts from the top down, from 578 and minus 3100. I emphasized this movement with the zoom blur effect with value 33, until you get to 577 and minus 33, with zoom blur to 0. I repeated the same steps on the text Musketeers, but the sequence has a movement from bottom. The difference is that in this text, there is hooked a lens flare. Makes the arrival of the title more epic. Was applied in optical flares customized and adapted for this title. I love it. With it the possibilities are endless. So as I said, the lens flare start from frame 10, below the letter U, with these values, and ends at frame 49 in the center of the scene on the letter E. View the result. Very nice. This animation, although simple, is rich of the detail and of graphic elements, which give altogether a result very pleasing to see. Okay, as the original video on the knob of the handle sword appears, a lens flare star, with a shape 6 tips. I check the fade-in with the brightest value from 0 to 50, from frame 11 to 15, trying to synchronize the slight shift along the y-axis. Finally, a small rotation of 11 degrees accompanies the rest of the animation to the end. Also in this case, with a scale interpolation from 100 to 95%, the block base logo is scaled gradually. Even for this lens flares I used optical flares. Quick and easy. To make the whole scene more dynamic I added the smoke. I used a video with realistic smoke. In these types of animation, where everything is very scenic, its use is perfect. As we can see using Triton effect, with the matones set with these values, we give the color orange, in our project, 128, 93, 65. We make it dark with exposure to 0.75. Finally in add mode, we make it transparent. Wow! Very nice. Now we proceed with the last layer of our animation, where we find a system of particles. Let us analyze in detail. The system is composed by the overlapping of 3 layers of particles. I used the particle preset, Legend of the Guardians. The technique I used is based on particle sizes and color parameters. Then I placed the layers so that the adjustment layer glow worked only on the larger particles. By applying on the main precompose layer another glow with different parameters, I obtain this fabulous fire intensity color. In this way the other two particle layers, with different distribution, size and colors, completed our particle system, making the whole sequence very interesting. You can use alternatively the particular effect to obtain particles, more dynamics, but in this animation, where everything has in 2D impact, it's okay in this way. These are all settings of the various layers of particles. You will also find sparks of the sword. Do not forget, all the layers, smoke and particles, must be set to add mode. Okay, after you have completed with the audio file, now we can proceed with the final rendering. This is the final result. Wow! Gothic honey, for my eyes. I remind you the next appointment for the tutorial on the movie title, Sherlock Holmes 2. Another animation full of surprises. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Seri of CRRNTN.com, cheers.